I'm upset. I'm upset because this is the final season of Narcos Mexico, a show that has given me so much from a genre that I love. But is this final season as good as the last two? Well, let's talk about it. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. We've been talking Narcos heavily for the last couple of years. We're going to talk about this final season. Does it live up to the hype? I need to know down below. What is your favorite season of Narcos in general so far? And did you enjoy this one specifically? If you like these Netflix reviews, let me know. Drop your thumbs up. That supports this channel. Let's get into it. So, set in the 1990s when the globalization of the drug business ignites, Season 3 examines the war that breaks out after Felix's arrest. As the newly independent cartel struggles to survive political upheaval and escalating violence, a new generation of Mexican kingpins emerge. But in this war, truth is the first casualty, and every arrest, murder, and takedown only pushes real victory further away. Narcos Mexico, like the other seasons, is juggling a couple of storylines here, and the one that we really start out with is that of Scoot McNairy's Walt. The opening shot, we get a little bit of insight into what he's feeling right now. At an AA meeting, we see him have a little conversation. Then we find out that, yes, of course, he is undercover as a DEA agent, and that storyline is really prominent, I'd say more so in the first couple of episodes than the back half of the season. But we're also focusing on something here that I found to be fascinating, and even though this story point isn't as prominent at the beginning, we slowly get more of it. El Chapo's kind of rise to power, and even though that is halted by something that happens, we still get to see some of those interactions at the beginning of that rise. Alejandro Eda plays El Chapo, who is just so good. And funny enough, what I know him from is another movie in the genre, American Made. Remember the Tom Cruise film, which I actually really enjoyed? So he's incredible in this show. And again, not as prominent as you'd expect him to be at first, because what Narcos always does, what it continues to do here, is it's balancing multiple storylines. You see the side that we are on, you see the side that we are opposed to, but you also get insights into how they operate. And really this continuation of this escalating war that comes from a lot of this, and it's just brilliantly put together. As always, Narcos Mexico provides us with incredible cinematography, phenomenal production design, just exactly the haunting tone that you need from a series like this, exploring the war on drugs, the crime that comes from that, what a lot of people have to go through who don't want to be a part of it, who end up being a part of it. It's so beautifully put together. And of course, this season is dealing with the aftermath of Felix. Diego Luna's presence is sorely missed in Season 3. And even though it's not necessarily a detriment to the story that they're telling, you can tell that they were trying to fill that void, but they're not filling it by one specific person, because as the summary states, and as we see throughout this season, more and more people are put into place, and when one falls, someone else always rises to power. But sometimes it's many people rise to power, and even though we don't get that powerhouse villainous presence in Diego Luna's Felix, we get numerous storylines, and sometimes that's a bit too much, and that balance can become overwhelming for a filmmaker or a group of directors in this case. But I didn't necessarily feel that with Narcos Mexico. I liked a lot of the stories that they were telling. I was invested all the way until the final episode. And it's fascinating because these groups, they're wanting to expand their territory. So we see the fallout from that. We see multiple characters get put in these horrible situations. Then we'll cut back to Walt and go along with him on his undercover mission and how that kind of takes a turn in the first couple of episodes. Then we pick up with a journalist by the name of Andrea, and I believe this was episode 2 when she starts to take interest in something going on at this wedding, and that leads her on yet another subplot in this season. So again, it might be too much for some, but her journey was one that I wasn't really sure about at first, even though I really liked her character. But Andrea's investigation becomes more and more compelling because of what she has to go through. So as we're cutting back between all of these different factions, the rise of El Chapo, of course joining back up with Walt as he's joining different task forces, and then we go back to Andrea and she's putting all of the puzzle pieces together and connecting all of these different things and seeing these incredibly heartbreaking events play out. Then we come back to El Chapo and see how it all connects and ties in together. And even though there's probably more going on in Narcos Mexico Season 3 than maybe any of the other seasons, talking Narcos and Narcos Mexico, I I was so invested, and the sense of finality, I wasn't really getting that in the first half of the season. But as everything plays out and we see the culmination and the violence that spawns from all of this, sometimes heartbreaking, sometimes intense, sometimes entertaining, a lot of emotions that come from the show. You guys know that. But your question for me is, Austin, is Season 3 as good as Seasons 1 and 2? And even though we're missing the presence of Diego Luna, my answer for you is still yes. I still enjoyed Season 3 as much as it is at points, and as much jumping around as we do. I believe the creators did such a great job of streamlining that and making it feel cohesive. And that's the most important thing with a story like this. And then, of course, we get to the finale and how it unfortunately starts to mirror some things that we're seeing right now. Not necessarily catching up in terms of time period, but how it all is coming to fruition in the way that you unfortunately suspect, and that's just brilliantly done. So I was thoroughly engaged. I mean, once again, I repeat myself every season. It feels like, oh, this series sucked me in and swept me off my feet. Yeah, I mean, but that's just what Narcos has continued to do. Not every season has been top-notch, but I believe Season 3 of Narcos Mexico is still a strong and solid piece of intense entertainment. So this third season has the tough task of trying to make so many storylines feel cohesive, yet these filmmakers prove that they are up to that task. The emotion that comes from the tragic realism of these events is almost unmatched. If you guys like this video, let me know. Drop your thumbs up. My score is an 80% for Season 3. Once again, the cycle continues, but like I said, this is the final season. So my question is, what's the best season so far of Narcos and Narcos Mexico? I need your thoughts down below. Appreciate you big time for watching. Stay tuned. I'm talking Netflix all day, every day. Hey, we just hit 100,000. Thanks so much. If you're not subscribed, that would be awesome. If you don't want to, it's cool. I understand. I'll see you soon.